Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Hartford Whalers throwback for franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we basically had the draft and the re-sign stage. We brought everybody back, I think, if I remember correctly, and draft-wise, we did draft a solid young top 6 forward prospect in Mr. John Inglis, who I like to refer to as Johnny English just because it's kind of funny. Did we sign him yet? Yes, we signed all our unsigned guys for the AHL, that's right. Yeah, this guy should be our best prospect, and I'm excited to see how he develops. I think he's a left winger. Yeah, there he is. 65 at 18. So this guy's going to get to play in the AHL right away. He should develop into being something decent since he does have some pretty decent overalls and whatnot. So I'm very excited to see what this guy could do in the AHL this season. Basically in the NHL, we just kept most of the roster together. We did suffer a bit of drop-off to guys like Stu Grimson because for some reason enforcers drop right away in year one, and a lot of them dropped to free agency. So we could probably eventually let go of Stu Grimson, but it would be cool to keep an enforcer around just to keep it kind of realistic to the time period. But in general, we have a pretty solid roster. We could add a few pieces, so that's why I asked you guys in last episode what we should potentially sign. Jaguar could end up being our backup this season, depending if we want to play him or Muzzati, so it should be interesting there as well, because Jaguar should eventually take over that starting role, maybe as early as next season, like not this upcoming one, but the next season after that, because who knows if we bring back Sean Burke, because we could always trade away to Sean Burke if we need to. But if we want to be a competitive team, I would recommend probably keeping Burke at least for a few years. So anyways, before we get into free agency and starting up the season simulation, we do have a few comments to go over. So the first one is from Kevin Yemina. He says, maybe you could bring in Smolinski, Arvidsson, and Galley. So I know he's referencing the old Sens players mostly, except for Galley. Galley's from the Ottawa area, just because he likes Sens and stuff like that. So free agent-wise, I don't know if we could bring in Smolinski or where we would slot him in is the problem. So I don't think we're going to be bringing him in, even though he is a good young player. I'm trying to think of where we could slot him in. Let me actually take a look at our center depth right now at the moment. I don't know if we could use Smolinski, because Andrew Castles is our number one center. Keith Primo was really good in the playoffs, so we don't want to take away ice time from him. And then Manderville's a good fourth liner, so we kind of more need a third line center, I would say. And then Primo could still be that second line center, so I wouldn't probably go after Smolinski just because he doesn't really fit the center depth-wise, because he would be probably a better top six option than Primo, but taking away ice time from somebody like Keith Primo is not great, I would say, so it wouldn't be really realistic in that sense. But Magnus Arvidsson, let's see, he's a left winger, I'm pretty sure, or a winger of all sorts. Yeah, I don't really see him either fitting into this roster just because we'd have to move somebody out. We could always trade away Reinheim because he was not that great in the playoffs and upgrade him into Arvidsson technically. So maybe that's something we could do. Let me just write this down on a piece of paper. So let's just say Reinheim, and then we could potentially turn him into Arvidsson. So we could sign Arvidsson and get rid of Reinheim. That might be a good upgrade. And then he was saying Gary Galley, which is also what Hawksfan was mentioning before, so I will get into Hawksfan's comment after this, but Gary Galley definitely would help out the top four pairings for our defensive core, also bring a little bit of offensive punch to it. So yeah, I think Gary Galley would definitely be a good acquisition. And then Joel Bouchard probably would be in the AHL because somebody like Kevin Holler or Godinyak would end up being depth for us. So the next comment is from Hockey Guy 88. I don't want to say Hockey Guy 88. I always want to say Hawksfan 88, but I'd sign Galley and Svela to give your defense a boost. I would also sign somebody who could play on your third or fourth line. So that is good. So Arvidsson would be good for the third or fourth line, like Kevin was mentioning. Galley and Svela could definitely fit into this defensive core for the top four, which means Merrick Malik probably and maybe Kevin Holler, just because they're younger, would work out on our top six, and then Godinyak would probably be depth, which means Joel Bouchard probably would be back in the AHL, which I think is okay for 1 year, just because maybe he gets a little bit of development since he still does have top six potential. And yeah, and that's basically all the offseason moves we would do. So and I asked actually Hawksfan if he would move out any specific defensemen to replace them with Galley and Svela, and he says I think you really need to move anyone out, but you could move Godinyak or Holler for a low pick or something. So if we wanted to, we could trade away somebody like Godinyak or Holler, and then Bouchard can be depth, but I think it might be okay to run Bouchard in the AHL for one season. I mean, he was pretty terrible when he was in Calgary, -15, so he's not the best defensive defenseman. So yeah, I think I might just give him 1 year in the AHL, see how he does down there, and then we'll probably turn Godiniuk into the depth defenseman. Yeah, probably Godiniuk, I'd say. Yeah, probably him, just because of the age, or we could go with Haller because of the defensive awareness, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's get into free agency. Actually, let's first try and trade away, I guess, Ranheim, since Ranheim isn't really somebody I don't think needs to be on this team anymore. I feel like he's just, I don't know. He wasn't necessarily the worst player. Let me just take a look at his stats from last season, but I think upgrading him into Magnus Arvidsson would make sense. Like, 22 points isn't bad, a +3, but only shooting 6.5%, and in the playoffs he had no points in the 12 games and a -6, so he was not really adamant in the playoffs, and we need players that could actually play in the playoffs. So yeah, I think trying to trade away Paul Ranheim, maybe just for a late pick or something, could definitely be something we do. Add up a little bit of picks, and then we could bring in Arvidsson, who I think is a left winger. Let me just make sure on that front. Where is he? Yeah, he would definitely be a huge upgrade. He might even knock somebody like Robert Cron down to the 4th line, so it's a little bit unrealistic in a sense, but yeah. Yeah, he would actually, he fits our 4th line, so we could honestly run this guy in the 4th line because there is no morale, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we might sign Magnus Arvidsson to that. Maybe we do 4th line and power play and penalty kill or something, or 4th line penalty kill, that type of thing, so he gets a decent amount of ice time. So let's already give him a contract. Boston's also interested. I could do a 2-year deal, and let's just bring it up a little bit since we have flexible cap space. And hopefully we beat out Boston. 2 years at 5.5. I think that's a good deal still for somebody that's an 84. I don't know how he developed that well. I know he was traded at the deadline, right? Yeah, he was traded from Sweden to Montreal, so there you go. We'll give Arvidsson a contract, and now let's try and trade away Paul Ranheim to free up that roster spot. Actually, shouldn't we wait till Arvidsson signs? Yeah, we'll wait till Arvidsson signs just to play it safe. Or we could actually maybe even use, we could always trade away Grimson instead. Is Grimson a left winger? I think he is, right? Yeah, maybe we could keep Ranheim as a depth option, to be honest. Yeah, we might use him as that. Yeah, we could. But, I mean, I don't know if it would be realistic. Like, using Grimson more as a depth option may be more realistic. So, I don't know. Maybe we could still trade away Ranheim. Let's see. Let's sign those defensemen, though, in Galley and Svela, and get our defensive core a little bit of upgraded, because those guys are probably the most important free agent signings. Like, we don't necessarily need too much forwards. Defensively, this is where we're going to help ourselves out in terms of playoff simulating. So Gary Galley's the first big one. 85 at 34, so he is close to retirement, so I hope that he could get us maybe to a cup before he retires, but we will give him the 2-year deal, because why not? No other team is interested in him, so we should be able to get him for his asking price, but I want to up this a little bit just to play it safe. So there's Gary Galley, and then Robert Svela. He wants a lot of term, but we might be able to get him down to like 3 or 4 years, which I think I'm okay with. Yeah, we'll do a 4-year deal. Tampa's also interested, which is funny since he used to play in Florida. We'll do 5.5 for 4 years. A little bit of an overpayment on some of those players, but I think it will help out our defensive core for sure. As long as Svela, oh yeah, all defensive pairings, and Galley was top 4 defensive pairings, so that's pretty good to help us out, I'd say, on the defensive end. Okay, so now that we have offered 2 contracts to defensemen and to Magnus Arvidsson, let's advance a few days, and then we'll think about if we're going to trade away Paul Ranheim, or we'll just put Stu Grimson into the AHL, because I wouldn't mind keeping Stu Grimson around just because of an enforcer, but maybe using Ranheim as depth would be better. Or actually, I could probably use all 3 of them as depth, to be honest. Glenn Wesley in a 5th or a 2nd and a 3rd, no thank you. We are trying to contend here in Hartford, because if we go into a rebuild, we won't be able to get ourselves out probably on time for the series to end. So there you go. Robert Svela has accepted our contract. Nice. Arvidsson has as well. And now we're just waiting on Gary Galley. Oh, Gary, you dumb ass man. Oh, man. He goes to Vancouver. That really sucks. Okay, we'll have to find another top 4 maybe in that sense. Well, it's nice that Svala accepted because now that upgrades our defensive core a lot. Damn, that really hurts to lose Gary Galley. Don't know why he held out so long. Oh, that's all expiring. That's why I was looking at that. Okay. Yeah, so Merrick Malik is listed as a top 6. So yeah, it would probably make sense to still bring in another top 4. Let me just take a look at free agency again. Damn, that sucks to lose Gary Galley. Because I thought we offered him a pretty good contract, but I guess the Canucks came in with a good offer. So we were looking still for maybe more of a left-handed defenseman. Okay, Igor Kravchuk might fit the bill, to be honest. Yeah, I think we're going to go with Igor Kravchuk here. And there's a lot of teams interested in him, probably all the ones that lost out. Let's do a 2-year deal, and let's also give him like 5.6. Yeah, we'll do that, and Kravchuk would be a huge upgrade. If we for some reason lose out on him, there's also Matthias Nordstrom, which I maybe should have won after. A lot of these defensemen might match our system, which is good. So, but that really does suck to lose out on Gary Galley. Because Svala is not as offensively minded, but he's still pretty good. Oh, Kravchuk accepts right away. Nice. Okay, so Kravchuk is a good complementary piece for that. So now we got our defensive core. We got Arvidsson. Now we got to think about potentially trading away Ranheim, I think, unless we want to use him as a depth option. So it does send automatically Stu Grimson to be an AHL player. Do I want Grimson in the AHL though? Because I know a lot of you guys probably would like Grimson to stay in the NHL. This episode might be a little bit long because of this free agency. Let's just go back to the trade finders, see what I could get for Ranheim, and then we might make a decision on trading him away or not. He might not have a lot of value, so it might be pointless. Yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of value. Yeah, I don't think it's worth trading away him. Maybe we just use him as a depth option, to be honest. So I think we're going to keep the rest of the roster the same. Those are just going to be our only signings is Arvidsson, Svala, and Kravchuk. So now that that is done, let's advance to the end of the month, and then we'll take a look at some free agent signings around the league as well this offseason. So this might be a little bit of a long episode, especially if I simulate 41 games, but I want to show you guys the best experience possible with these rosters so you guys can see like who signs where, any big name free agents, where to sign, that type of thing, just to give it a little bit more of a story appeal to it. But yeah, I think we should have a pretty good season ahead. Our defensive core is definitely better than it was last season. Bringing in Arvidsson to upgrade our forward core a little bit as well should help us out there too. So hopefully it's a good season ahead. If we win the Stanley Cup in year 2, it's going to be pretty unrealistic. But I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes went to the finals in 2002, which is not too far away from this technically. So maybe it's kind of realistic in a sense. Okay, so let's take a look at some free agent signings, see where the big guys went. And then I think the rest of it probably won't be big free agent signings, so we won't pay attention to August because it's usually the lesser known players. There has been some offseason trades like Valery Zelpukin getting traded from New Jersey to Boston. That's interesting. Ronnie Stern to Pittsburgh. Ken Danico also got traded to Pittsburgh. Damn. So Pittsburgh's loading up, of course, after we beat them. Let's see what else we got here. Any big name free agent signings? A lot of the enforcers were signing. John Casey signs in St. Louis, which I think that's where he started, if I'm not mistaken. But that's funny that a lot of the enforcers are signing right at the end of the month. Like literally every single one of them. We're looking just for big signings. If you guys see anything that I missed, though, let me know because I have a tendency of the missing things. Dalton Bouchard signs in Calgary. That's kind of funny. What else we got here? Nothing huge so far in terms of free agent signings. Craig McTavish signing in Calgary. Byron Defoe going back to Washington again. What else we got here? JJ Deneau goes to Vancouver. I think he actually played there. That's interesting. Flatley to San Jose. Not seeing any huge signings, to be honest, at least at the moment. Esa Tikkanen resigns with the Rangers. I think he was with the Rangers at the start of this, so that makes sense. Hey, Darcy Wakaluk is resigning in Dallas. Nice. I think it's where he was at the start, too. Brian Bellows going to Pittsburgh. That's a big ad for Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh's totally loading up. Yari Kurgan going to Detroit. Interesting. Detroit's also loading up. Nemchinov back to the Rangers. Not a surprise. Mike Keane to Germany. Dwayne Rolson to San Jose. Don Beaupre to Dallas. Luke Richardson in Chicago. Isn't that where he's head coaching in real life right now? I think he literally just signed her as a head coach this offseason, if I'm not mistaken, in real life. That's crazy. Matthias Nordstrom to St. Louis. What else we got here? Brian Rolston re-signing in New Jersey. Sylvain Terjean to Russia. Oleg Tverdovsky resigns in Phoenix. Not a surprise there either. Larry Onov signs in Philadelphia. And then Howard Chuck signs in Detroit. Brian Smolinski also signed in Vancouver, so we would have lost out on both of them. So Vancouver's loading up. Chris Osgood signs a 6-year deal in Germany. So Germany's got their #1 goalie now. That's interesting. Darren Turcotte in Ottawa. Vladimir Konstantinov signs in St. Louis. Wow. I don't know if Detroit Red Wings fans are going to like that. Rick Tocchet signs in Sweden. Craig Conroy in Colorado. Urbe in Russia as well. So Russia loaded up with 2 good goalies, I think. And Martin Straka to Chicago. Interesting free agency there. Let's sim up to the start of the season and get our lines set up, and then we'll simulate some of the season. I want to simulate 41 games so we could get to the halfway point already, so then next season could be done pretty quickly. But I guess it depends on how this team simulates out of the gate, which I think it should be pretty decent, just based on the acquisitions we've made this offseason. We'll probably start Stu Grimson in the minors, even though I don't like playing an enforcer in the minors, because he's probably going to be on the drop-off regardless because of his age, so I don't know if he's going to be coming back next season as well. And using Paul Reinheim as a depth option, I think, is a good option for now, just because we technically upgraded him into Magnus Arvidsson. So, what do we got for our potential lines? I don't care about the owner goals right now. What do we got for scratch players? Yeah, Reinheim, that's what I thought. Let me just make sure everybody's called up that should be. Let's go to the AHL. Joel Bouchard is up to a 79. Damn. I didn't expect that. I should probably call him up as a depth option, to be honest. Yeah, I'm going to call him up. So that way we actually have a depth defenseman in case of any injury problems. And then, yeah, Stu Grimson could stay in the minors, as much as I don't like that. Wait. And then we need Inglis to be... Oh, Grimson plays left wing too. I like Inglis to be up here as much as possible. Yeah, we'll get Inglis onto the top line. Oh, look, I could put Grimson on the top line with Inglis. Let's do that. Just for the memes. Our youngster's going to get to play with an enforcer right out of the gate. Anybody that shouldn't be scratched, it is. Tikhonov needs to play, and Ramsey needs to play, since those are young drafted guys. But the thing is, we have Mazzotti and Legacy down there. I don't know where I could throw Tikhonov in yet. I might have to let go one of those goalies at some point, or trade away one of them. And then Marvin Ramsey for the defensive core, which means I'll take out this dude, get him in there, and then give Ramsey some power play time as well. Actually, he's already getting that good. Perfect. So the AHL set up. Now let's get this NHL team set up. Okay, what do we want to do here? So Kevin Stevens was good on the second line last season. Actually, the second line was better than our first line in the playoffs, so we'll try and flip them around a bit. Jeff O'Neill definitely needs to be on this line, and same with Caron. Actually, damn. Yeah, we have a little bit of a unrealistic roster in a sense, because Caron is way too good to be down there on the fourth line, I'd say, to be honest. I could swap him and Jeff O'Neill for now, because O'Neill isn't fully ready to be on that third line, I don't think. So I think I'm going to flip that around. But Caron doesn't win as good of face-offs, but O'Neill's not a huge face-off guy either. So maybe we'll keep our forward core like this, but I feel like we should be trading somebody away, just because this is kind of unrealistic in a sense. At least having O'Neill on the fourth line. So I don't know if Robert Caron gets dealt at some point or what, but... And then defensively, we got Chason Svela, which is nice. Kravchuk, Wesley, and then Malik and Godinyak it's putting, which leaves Reinheim, Bouchard, and Haller as our depth pieces, which I'm okay with. So that's pretty decent. Goalie-wise, we got Burke, and Jay Shagir is going to be our backup goalie this season. I'm excited for that. Hopefully he simulates pretty decently. I don't think he will out of the gate, but never know. So that's good there. And then power play-wise... We don't need Kent Manderville as a power play center. Don't know why he's like that. Oh, it's because of Primo's on the first unit. I don't really want Kent Manderville on the power play. It just doesn't make sense to me. So we should probably put, is Deneen on the power play? Yeah, he is, okay. Okay, it's because we have 5 forwards on our first unit. That's a lot. Maybe I could leave it like that. I'm trying to think of who else I could put on that center spot. Maybe actually I will move Primo down to the second unit. Yeah. And move Stevens up. And then we'll have to throw somebody out on this unit, which... Is Derek King on the power play? Yeah, he is. Okay, good. Sanderson is. So Arvidsson's the best one that is not on the power play. So we're going to give Arvidsson some power play time since we brought him in. Help us out there. And then we will also change this around a little bit. And we'll take this out and throw in Arvidsson as well. I want Arvidsson to get a lot of ice time, since he's actually decent, and yeah, he's getting some good PK time as well, so that's good. Okay, so that's how our lineup is set up for the season. So King, Primo, Stevens, Sanderson, Castles, Deneen, Arvidsson, Caron, Emerson, and then Rice, Manderfield, O'Neill. Defensively, Chason and Svela, Wesley and Kravchuk, and Malik and Godiniuk. Malik is actually up to a top 4 potential already, so he's at an 82. So, yeah, I don't know if signing. How long did we sign Kravchuk for? 2 years. Our defensive core is becoming a little bit of unrealistic, but a lot of these guys are getting a little bit older, like Kravchuk's 32, so eventually Malik could take over the roles in the defensive core. And in goalie-wise, obviously, it's Burke and Jaguar. And if we run into any goalie problems, at least we have Legacy and Mazzotti in the minors. I could honestly scratch Mazzotti to get the younger guy in, which I think I'm going to do, even though I don't like scratching Mazzotti, because Mazzotti was phenomenal last year. He doesn't deserve to be scratched, but we need to get our prospects into the AHL, so Mazzotti's going to be a scratch down there. But if injuries happen, he might be, yeah, he'd be the first to get called, probably over Legacy. So there is that. And I think we're ready to start up the season simulation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we're ready to start up the season. I'm very excited to see what this team could do this year. One thing before we actually start simulating, let me show you guys that the draft class. You can see that there's Vinny LeCavalier and Brad Richards, both up there in the draft class. A lot of the AI generated guys got thrown in, which is interesting. So this is actually going to be a pretty stacked draft, I think, because I believe LeCavalier, I gave him elite potential, but Richards, I think, is high top 6. So there should be at least like 5 elite players right there, but it might be a really good draft ahead. Who knows? What else did I add to this draft? I don't remember too much. Oh yeah, Andrew Raycroft, Nita Mackey, Brent Johnson. So there's some former NHL goalies here in the draft, so it should be interesting. But yeah, let's simulate as much as we can in this episode, because we are already around 20-something minutes, I think. And I would like to get at least to the halfway point of the season, so I could get you guys suggesting me some trades, that type of thing. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what we could do this season. I don't know how much the other teams in our division added. I know the Pittsburgh Penguins added a ton, so the Penguins are probably going to be a team that maybe wins the Stanley Cup this year. It's definitely going to be tough to beat them. Jeez, what a preseason, 7-0. Okay, I wasn't expecting us to go 7-0 in the preseason, but 11 points in 7 games from Castles. I don't think we're going to be that good during the regular season, but if we are, that would be phenomenal. Okay, let's do our first month. See how we do up till November the 1st. First game of the season is against Ottawa on home ice, and then we play Chicago. We win that first game of the season 2-1. Nice defensive effort, but then lose 7-3. Not great defensive effort. And then lose 6-1. Okay. Okay, I see you, team. 10-3 loss. Wow. Our team looks a lot better than they should, but that was a really rough start. But then we win a couple games and tie a game against the Sharks. So 3-3, 1-1. A really weird record. How are we looking standings-wise after that a little bit? Not terrible. Obviously not out of it since it's really early on. Sanderson's got 7 points in 8 games, so our offense is doing a lot better than it did last year, because last year we had guys only having, like, at the end of the season, like 60-something points, I think. So that's at least an improvement, it looks like. Let's do another month and see how we do in the month of November. But yeah, I'd like to try and get 41 games done. Don't care about Stromberg because he's not even a prospect in the AHL. I might not even put him back in. Don't even know if he's a defenseman or not. But yeah, right now the team's kind of a bit streaky, it seems like. Yeah, I don't know what the consistency is right now with our team. Maybe it's the coach? I don't know. Yeah, this team is off to a really rough start for the overall. But there's a couple more wins. Okay, yeah, we're being really, like, inconsistent at the beginning of this year. So 9-9, 3-1. and we are near the bottom of the division. Our division might be just getting stronger. That could be a possibility. Damn, yeah, the Penguins are in a wild card spot right now, and they added a lot of good pieces in the offseason, so... Yeah, our division is very tight, because there's literally only 7 points separating last and first place, so... We've played 22 games. Let's try and do another 20 games. Or, not 20 games, 19 games, so we can get to the halfway point. And then we'll have a better understanding of where we're sitting in terms of the season. Svela has been injured with his sore shoulder, so that's a big loss. Let's just go replace player. But yeah, that sucks to lose him. At least we have 2 depth defensemen. And we do win a couple games without Svela, which is a surprise, as he has returned. So we'll take Joel Bouchard out, and Svela is back. Good. Yeah, this team has been really inconsistent to start the season, and Sean Burke has been injured with a concussion. Of course, I had to mention goalie injuries earlier. He's out to December the 15th, so it's not too long term. But yeah, that's a big loss, which means Mazzotti's getting called up since he's not in the lineup even in the AHL anyways. And he will get a chance to play with young Jaeger. So I'm not really sold on that goaltending combination without Burke, but we'll see what Jaeger could do since Jaeger is the youngster, and then Mazzotti was phenomenal last year in the playoffs, so I got no complaints with him. Burke is already back. Wow, okay, that was a really short concussion. I don't even know if Mazzotti got a chance to play, but we'll send Mazzotti back down, and Sean Burke will get thrown back into the lineup. So there we go. Hopefully he doesn't get re-injured, because I hate when that happens. It's really annoying. There you go, he's back to full health. That's good. But yeah, our team is really inconsistent at the beginning of the season. Like, we need to find that consistency if we're going to be a playoff team. Like, maybe in the second half of the season we'll actually find ourselves. But right now we go on a bunch of losing streaks, then we go on a bunch of winning streaks, and it's very inconsistent. 15, 14, 4, and 4. That's not too bad. How much games is that? Because I don't want to do the math right now. 37 games. Let's do another 4 games, and we'll be at the exact halfway point of the season. And we could take a look at some player stats and all that stuff. So, yeah, this may be a little bit of a long episode. I apologize about that, guys. But wanted to get that off-season shown to you guys, like the free agent signings, because I think it's kind of interesting with these throwback builds to see where players sign and whatnot. But there's a couple more wins. Okay, 18, 15, 4, and 4 at the halfway point isn't terrible. That has us 3 points back of Finland, who's in the playoff spot, which is kind of weird. They also already have 1 more game played than us, and then the Canadians are also just up there. Yeah, we're in a pretty good spot, I would say. We just need to find a way to get ourselves to be a bit more consistent at the NHL level. Let's take a look at the team stats and player stats so far for the season. See what's been clicking for us. Maybe we need to just change around our lines a bit to find ourselves fully. So in terms of the entire NHL, where are we sitting right now at the halfway point? Did I miss us? Nope, we're 19th in the league. I don't really like that. Goals for per game. Looks like our offense is probably around mid-table. Yeah, looks like our offense is actually not that good. So our offense, I don't know why it's not scoring, but it's not good. And then our goals against per game wise, we are still a pretty solid defensive team, but not as good as last year. So that is not great. Yeah, both the offense and defense isn't great. And then power play percentage is looking terrible. Yeah, our power play is the second worst, so we need to refigure that power play out around. And then 84.5% on the penalty kill. Looks like we're not doing too good on anything yet. We are almost in a playoff spot. Only 1 short-handed goal this year, too. Yeah, the team in general is just not doing too well, it looks like. Let's take a look at the player stats. So, Castles has got 26 points, but he's a -4, which isn't great. Primo's got 25 points and a +13, probably because he's been in the box a lot. Manderville, 10 points, -7. King, 34 points, +10. Stevens, 28 points, +9. Sanderson, 24 points, even 0. Arvidsson, 20 points and a -7. Yikes. Caron, 18 points and a -7. Deneen, 24 points and a +1, probably because he's got over 100 penalty minutes. Emerson, 14 points. O'Neill, 11 points. And Rice, 9 points. Yeah, there's a couple players on this team I'm not really sold about. I don't like the plus-minus aspect. Maybe it's because of the goaltending. Defensively, Svela's got 24 points in 39 games and a +8. He's been great. Chason's offense has really dropped off. Because last year he had 52 points. He's only on pace for 32 points this year. Damn. Wesley 10 points. Kravchuk 8 points. Malik 8 points. Godiniuk has 4 points and a -9. So maybe I'll throw Haller in for the second half of the season and see if that helps out. And then Joel Bouchard, 2 games played and no points. And he had 5 penalty minutes, so he must have got into a fight in one of his only 2 games. Goalie-wise, Sean Burke has been good, I'd say, and Jaguar has not been the best. His goals against is good, but his save percentage isn't really. Yeah, Jaguar hasn't been doing as good as Mazzotti was last year, so we could always play Mazzotti and throw Jaguar back into the AHL for another year and not rush his development, but I don't really know. So there is that. Let's take a look at the entire league for fun as well, just because I'm curious on that, and I'll show you guys the trading block, and then that'll be it for this episode. So currently leading the league in points, Solani's leading with 50 points. So him and Korea are going off pretty much. Most goals so far, Brett Hull. Don't really care about too much of the other stats halfway point wise. Pronger's got 38 points to lead the league. Sucks that Hartford got rid of him. Rafalski's up there as well, Phil Housley. Best goalie so far, Ron Hextall has 20 wins already. Same with Ole Kolzig. Best save percentage by a starter, probably somebody like Ron Tugnut. Yeah, Ron Tugnut's having a great year. 928. Damn. Some of these goalies are simulating really well. Patrick Wall is also really simulating good. 927 through 33 games. So I would say he has the leg up over Tugnut right now for Vezina. And then best rookie so far for points, Joe Thornton's got 35 points in 41 games. Rolson's considered a rookie for some reason still, even though he probably played last season. Marian Hossa also is already playing 15 points. Interesting. So it looks like Patrick Marleau is not playing this season. Huh, okay. So that is that. Let's finally take a look at the train block, and then I'll be it for this episode, since this episode's already going a bit long. Also, no, I won't show you guys the draft class again, just because it's probably staying the exact same, but I don't know what we really do with this team. I didn't want to go to free agents, god damn it. I don't know what we really want to do with this team. We just maybe need to reconfigure the lines, because it's good overall wise. Maybe we find a new coach. Maybe that will help us. Barry Richter's on waivers, or not waivers. Why am I saying on waivers, goddamn? As a defenseman, would be an upgrade over somebody like Kevin Haller or Godiniuk, but we don't really need to do that. Nothing really in Buffalo. Gary Suter, that wouldn't be a bad, but we don't really have the spot for him because he's not really, like, he's a top 4 defenseman, so he would probably be playing on top 6 minutes if he joined our team. Stefan Quintel is also there. Vladimir Zika, Robert Lang. Yeah, there's some options out there if we want to trade for players. I don't really know what we need to trade for to make this team good, is the only question. So I'll leave it to you guys and giving me some suggestions for in the next episode as well. Sean Chambers. What else you got here? Scott Mellenby. Damn. That's actually a pretty good contract. Under $2 million for 4 years as a 31-year-old. Huh. Scott Mellenby is interesting. Johan Garpenlov, Kirk Muller, Fitzgerald, and Jody Hull. Yeah, there's actually some options out there, which is good. Ray Ferraro, Siplikov, Jones, Burt, and Lozician. So that's where Adam Burt signed. I forgot that we let go of Adam Burt. He signed with the LA Kings. And Lozician. Actually, no, did I trade him there? Yeah, I traded them there. Never mind. Because I traded them there as part of the Kevin Stevens deal. Completely forgot about that for some weird reason. Travis Green's out there, which is an also intriguing one. That's a very good one. But like, look at the trade values on some of these players as well before suggesting them, because a lot of these guys are gonna be like, we're gonna have to trade away like Inglis in order to get one of those guys that have high value, because some of these guys have way too much value. Like, they would cost like multiple first-round picks or something. What else we got here? Nothing else really so far near the end of this list. Ricard Persson, Millis is terrible. Jeff Norton, Ulanov, Shaw, some more defensemen there, and Dan Kluche. And I think that's it. Yep, that's pretty much it for a trading block, and that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of our Hartford Whalers franchise mode. So in next episode, we might make some trades to try and reconfigure this team a little bit. We might just make some line changes, maybe find a new coach, try and find a way to get this team to be more consistent, because right now our stats aren't that good overall wise, yet we are still kind of in the hunt, I'd say, for a playoff spot. So Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.